Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers. We're the host, Bang and Dang. We're back, as we told you last week, with Frank Abagnale Jr., who inspired the movie Catch Me If You Can. He was a fraudster, cashing fake checks and pretending to be all these occupations, like a pilot and a doctor and all that good stuff. But before we get into that, we have a brand new Discord. That's right, a Discord. So
What's a Discord?
well, it's a little place where people can come join and you can talk about the shows, or there's other channels on there where we can talk about sports. There's one for NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, college, and general discussion stuff like politics, music, history, wrestling, anything like that. You guys want to come and hang out, and then we got another whole section over there on the Discord to do voice chatting. So maybe get enough of you in there. We can do some video and voice chats with you guys, hook it up, and have some conversations about some random shit. You know? That's the Discord. Bang and Dang Discord is called. The link will be in the description for this episode. I don't know if you'll be able to click it. Certain whatever podcast host you're using might not be able to click it, but you can always copy the link and put it in your browser on your phone or on the computer. And once you do that, it'll say accept invite, and bada boom, bada bang, you're in there and ready to go. Discord, I mean, it'd be nice to have some conversations, and anything goes. We're not gonna kick you out of the room for having a different opinion, or, I mean, obviously we don't want people to be a fucking straight up assholes to each other, but people are gonna disagree. And that's what we welcome, especially on the politics one and wrestling, I would suppose. I mean, the sports one, everybody's going to disagree with something. But
Yeah, you can talk about Orange Man Bad or Pedo Peter. So either way.
Pedo Peter.
Pedo Peter.
Who's that?
That's Joe Biden.
Oh.
That's what Hunter Biden has in his phone for him.
I think he...
Pedo Peter.
I think he slipped up today. He was or yesterday's speech or whatever. He was talking about...
Cancer.
Yeah, he was like, that's the reason why I and so many of the people I grew up with have cancer right now. And everybody's like, wait, what did you just say?
You have cancer, Biden?
Jeez, dude. Yeah. So we can talk about stuff like that. News, music, history, movies, TV, anything you guys want over on Discord. There'll be a link in the description of this episode. And moving on with this episode, Frank Abagnale. You might have seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I believe Tom Hanks is in it.
Oh, jeez.
That...
Talking about pedophiles.
Inspired, I believe he wrote a book, and that's what they took it off of this. But he was a con man, scam artist, scam artist, imposter, mainly dealing with check fraud while impersonating different professions, like I said. He was born in the Bronx. He's a New Yorker. On April 27, 1948, to a French-Algerian mother and an Italian-American father. Wow. He spent his early life in Bronxville, New York. His parents separated when he was 12 and divorced when he was 15. After the divorce, he moved with his father and his new stepmother to Mount Vernon, New York. According to Abagnale, his first victim was his father,
Oh, no.
who gave Abagnale a gasoline credit card and a truck and was ultimately liable for a bill amounting to $3,400. Abagnale was only 15 at the time.
Really?
I mean, he was 48, 58, so early 60s. He probably was driving around, right?
Why not?
How old did you have to be to get your license back in the day?
16 at least to get
Right.
your license.
15, probably. Well, it's 14 and 9 months now, so sure. Could have been 14 and 9 months you have to be to get your permit, at least. I don't think you can drive unrestricted till you're like 16.
Right. So maybe back then, yeah, it's probably always been 16, right?
Right.
Maybe 15. In his autobiography, Abagnale says, because of this crime, he was sent to a reform school in Westchester County, New York. Fitting description of the Lincolndale Agricultural School, run by Catholic Charities USA. Oh, geez, that's just bad all around. Right. In December 1964, he enlisted in the United States Navy at the age of 16. He was discharged after less than 3 months and arrested for forgery shortly after.
Oh, jeez.
Well, 1965, the FBI arrested Abagnale in Eureka, California.
Eureka.
For car theft after he stole a Ford Mustang from one of his father's neighbors.
Hey, if that's a car to steal, I mean, if you're going to steal a car, that's the one to get, huh?
I guess.
Abagnale was pictured in the local newspaper, seated in a car, being questioned by Special Agent Richard Miller of the FBI. The FBI, though?
Jeez.
He had financed his cross-country trip from New York to California with blank checks stolen from a family business located on the Bronx River Parkway. Abagnale was he was also charged with impersonating a U.S. Customs official. Well, that's a crime, although this charge was dropped. Okay. June 2nd, 1965, this stolen car case was transferred to the Southern District of New York. Okay. So he stole it in New York and drove all the way to California? Jeez.
Writing some bad checks along the way.
Not even his either.
Right. After being released into custody of his father to face the stolen car charges, 17-year-old Abagnale decided to impersonate a pilot. He obtained a uniform at a Manhattan uniform company, but was arrested in Tuckahoe, New York, days later.
Why?
Right. Abagnale was sentenced to 3 years at the Great Meadow Prison
For the same crime?
After serving only 2 years of his sentence, he was released into the custody of his mother.
Oh, his mother.
He broke the terms of his parole with a stolen car conviction in Boston, Massachusetts.
Uh-oh.
He was returned to Great Meadow for 1 year.
Jeez, guy. This dude's only like 16.
17, 19 or something like that.
After his release on December 24th, 1968, I'm going to be home for Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas.
Isn't that a good day?
20-year-old Abagnale disguised himself as a TWA pilot and moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he talked his way into the house of a local music teacher who was the father of a Delta Airlines stewardess he had met in New York. In Baton Rouge, he had also befriended a local minister, claimed he had a master's degree in social work from Ithaca College, and sought work with vulnerable youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Dude.
Right.
The Reverend introduced him to Louisiana State University faculty who determined he was an obvious phony. Yeah, They were like, this guy doesn't know. They were probably asking him a bunch of questions at like a get-together, sipping tea, and he's like, had no idea what the fuck he was talking about.
Right. The Reverend, after Abagnale told him he was a furloughed TWA pilot, became suspicious. Called the airline where he was told that Abagnale was a fraud. The Reverend notified the Baton Rouge Police Department, and he was arrested on February 14th, 1969. No Valentine's Day snoogie woogie for you, bud.
Well, he's getting them, just not from what he likes, probably.
Initially on vagrancy charges.
I was going to say, why? Just because he says he's a pilot, it's not... Is it against the law to claim you're a pilot?
Right, just had to get him for vagrancy, I guess. Upon his arrest, he was found to have illegally driven his Florida rental car out of state and to possess falsified airline employee identification.
Okay, that's probably a problem.
The following day, detectives determined that Abagnale had stolen blank checks from his host family and a local business in Baton Rouge, and he was subsequently charged with theft and forgery.
Yeah, didn't learn, did he?
Unable to make bail, he was convicted on June 2nd, 1969, and was sentenced to 12 years of supervised probation, but he soon fled Louisiana for Europe.
Oh, he went to Europa. 2 weeks after the Louisiana bench warrant was issued, Abagnale was arrested in Montpellier, France. September of 69, he had stolen an automobile and defrauded 2 local families in Klippen, Sweden. He was sentenced to 4 months for theft in France, but only served 3 months in Perpignan's prison. Perpignan, okay. He was then extradited to Sweden, where he was convicted of gross fraud by forgery. That was gross.
Yeah.
He served 2 months in Malmo prison and was banned from returning to Sweden for 8 years and required to compensate his Swedish victims, which they say he never did.
Of course not.
Abagnale was deported back to the United States in June of 1970 when his appeal failed. Yeah, Sweden's like, we don't want you here. We would have kept you here.
Right. After returning to the United States, 22-year-old Abagnale, dressed in a pilot uniform, traveled around college campuses, passing bad checks and claiming he was there to recruit stewardesses for Pan Am. He's like, I need some stewardesses.
Stewardesses.
Wow. You're just walking around wearing a pilot
uniform. Right. Like, who does that?
At the University of Arizona, he stated that he was a pilot and a doctor.
Oh, okay. He was a pilot doctor.
Right. And according to Paul Holston, a student at the time, Abagnale conducted physical examinations on several female college students who wanted to be part of flight crews. None of the women were ever enrolled in Abagnale's fictional program.
Well, of course not. Why would they be?
Right.
After he cashed a personal check made to look like a Pan Am paycheck on July 30th, 1970 in Durham, North Carolina, he again came to the attention of the FBI. They're like, this dude again?
Right.
He was arrested in Cobb County, Georgia 3 months later on November 2nd. after cashing 10 fake Pan Am payroll checks in different towns. What an idiot. Abagnale escaped from the Cobb County Jail, and was picked up 4 days later in New York City.
Jeez.
He was sentenced to 10 years in 1971 for forging checks that totaled $1,448.60. 71, I mean, it's a few thousand.
Right.
And he received an additional 2 years for escaping from the local Cobb County jailhouse.
They shouldn't have gave him time for doing that. He escaped. Like, hey, kudos for escaping, bud. 1974, Abagnale was released on parole after he served about 2 years of his 12-year sentence at Federal Correctional Institution
I wonder why.
Petersburg, Virginia.
Wonder how that happened.
Right. Unwilling to return to his family in New York, he left the choice of parole location up to the court, which decided that he would be paroled in Houston, Texas. How about Houston, Texas?
How about Houston?
Sure. After his release, Abagnale stated that he performed numerous jobs, including cook, grocer, and movie projectionist. But he was fired from most of these after it was discovered he had been hired without revealing his criminal's past.
Yeah. Well, going back to
I don't think anybody's going to hire him when you're a con man.
Forging shit.
Right.
Well, he didn't learn the lesson because he again posed as a pilot in 1974 to obtain a job at Camp...
What is it with the pilot?
I don't know. Camp Madison, a summer children's camp. Why... I don't know how dressing up as a pilot is going to get him a job at a camp in Texas.
Right.
Where he was arrested there for stealing cameras from his coworkers.
Oh, jeez.
After he received only a fine, he obtained a position at a Houston area orphanage. Who the hell is hiring this guy? By pretending to be a pilot with a master's degree. What the hell is up with a pilot? People trust pilots in the 70s, I guess.
Huh?
This job had him finding foster homes for the children living at the orphanage. I mean, I guess if he was doing it, good for him. This ruse was eventually discovered by his parole officer, who swiftly removed him from his orphanage work and moved him into living quarters above his own garage so that he could keep an eye on him. He said, "You're coming to live with me, dude."
Like, come on, man. Jeez.
His next position was at Aetna, Aetna, where he was fired and sued for check fraud.
Oh, jeez. These guys just don't stop.
What is Aetna? It's a healthcare company.
Right.
Check fraud. This dude just can't help himself. Get a real job, you bum.
He's a bum, I tell you.
Shit.
According to Abagnale, he approached a bank with an offer in 1975.
He's like, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse."
He explained to the bank what he had done and offered to speak to the bank staff and show them various tricks that paper hangers use to defraud banks.
Hey, that's actually smart. I'm like, hey, man, I've done this, and I know what you can do to prevent it.
Right. His offer included the condition that if they did not find his speech helpful, they would owe him nothing. Otherwise, they would owe him $50. Hey.
Whatever, I guess start somewhere.
All right, with an agreement that they would provide his name to other banks. Well, it's 50 here and 50 there.
All right.
Add up. You got like 6 presentations today. That's some money right there. Mm-hmm. $300. With that, he began a new career as a speaker and a security consultant.
There you go, bud.
During this time, he falsified his resume to show he had worked with the L.A. Police Department and Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard.
I worked for Scotland Yard and LAPD, mofo.
What an idiot.
Wow.
This dude had a legit gig now.
No reason to lie.
1977. If these banks are willing to hire you being a check fraud and criminal, there's no reason to lie to say you work for the police department.
Right.
Idiot. 77, he gave public talks wherein he claimed that between the ages of 16 and 21, he was a doctor in Georgia, in a Georgia hospital for 1 year, an assistant state attorney general for 1 year, a sociology professor for 2 semesters, and a Pan American Airlines pilot for 2 years.
Oh, jeez.
In addition, he claimed that he recruited university co-eds as Pan American stewardesses, traveling with them for the 3 months throughout Europe. He also claimed he eluded the FBI with a daring escape from a commercial airline toilet bowl while the plane was taxiing at the JFK airport in New York. How do you go through? I mean, yeah. Okay,
oh my, this guy.
Okay, guy.
This guy's a hoot, man. 1978, he told a Honolulu Advertiser reporter that he was familiar with the toilet apparatus. Squeezed himself through the opening, swung down through the lower.
How the hell did he get through a toilet opening?
Right. Swung down the lower hatch, landed on the pavement, ran across the runway, and hailed a cab on the runway.
He just ran.
A cab just showed up
like,
in the middle of the runway.
Well, it might be.
No. Abagnale claimed that he moved the sewage container aside, that no one heard a thing. I took off running, he said. I thought they were right behind me. What I didn't know was that the door was spring-loaded, and when it slammed shut, the whole assembly fell back into place. Nobody heard anything because of the engine's roar.
Yeah, likely story, pal. Isn't it all like blue stuff in there?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure I've seen, I don't know, there's in movies, but I've seen the little shticks where people get their legs caught in it. It's all blue and shit. He moved his wife, Kelly, and their three... He's got a wife and 3 kids. Moved his wife, Kelly, and their 3 sons to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
When did this happen?
He and his family lived in the same house for the next 25 years.
Oh,
Good for him.
Look at him.
After the sons left home for college and careers elsewhere, Kelly suggested that she and Frank should leave Tulsa. They agreed to move to Charleston, South Carolina. In '76, he founded Abagnale and Associates, which advises companies on secure documents.
Okay, look at him, man. Making a good career.
2015, he was named the AARP Fraud Watch Ambassador, where he helps to, quote-unquote, provide online programs and community forums to educate consumers about ways to protect themselves from identity theft and cyber crime.
Look at that shit.
2018, he began co-hosting the AARP podcast, The Perfect Scam, about scammers and how they operate. This dude finally made it, huh?
Right. He has appeared in the media a variety of times. This includes 3 times as guest on The Tonight Show, an appearance on To Tell the Truth in 1977, and a regular slot on the British network TV series The Secret Cabaret in the 1990s. A regular spot. Look at that. The book about Abagnale, Catch Me If You Can, was turned into a movie of the same name by Steven Spielberg in 2002, featuring Leo DiCaprio as Abagnale, and the real Abagnale made a cameo appearance in this film as a French police officer taking DiCaprio into custody.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, why would he not be dressed up as somebody else?
I know, he's impersonating somebody else. During his appearances on television and in his speeches, he has often embellished his criminal exploits, stating that he was wanted in 12 countries, has worked extensively for the FBI, and escaped several times from FBI custody. He also claimed that he cashed $2.5 million in bad checks and worked as an assistant attorney general and a hospital physician. In addition, he stated that he started a fake sewer the program,
All right.
and logged over 2 million air miles disguised as the pilot.
I bet he did.
Wait, he's disguised as the pilot. They didn't say, "Hey, guy, you want to fly?"
No, I'm good.
I just want to observe.
Nope.
Jeez.
Wow. In public lectures describing his life story, he has consistently maintained that he was arrested just once, and that was in France. However, public records show that he was arrested in New York multiple times.
Yeah.
California, Massachusetts, Louisiana, Georgia, and Texas.
Jeez.
Despite public records showing Abagnale targeted individuals and small family businesses, he has long claimed publicly that he never, ever ripped off any individuals.
Well,
He made the same claim of never targeting individuals and small businesses to BBC journalist Sarah Montag.
Or Montague.
And the Associated Press.
Yeah, well, we already know this
It's
guy's
like
a
they're
liar.
got the charges up in
Evidence
front
is
of
like
him.
right here, dude. Not me.
Nope.
According to him, the only individual he ever swindled was a Miami sex worker. He said she tried to charge me $1,000 for an evening, so I gave her a $1,400 forged cashier's check and got $400 in change. In 2002, he told the Star Tribune, "As long as I didn't hurt anyone, people never considered me a real criminal. My victims were big corporations. I was a kid ripping off the establishment."
Right. I mean, I get it.
However, individuals criminally targeted by him have described the long-term consequences of victimization.
Right.
One said, "He had a key to our front door. It was never recovered. We changed a lot. I fed him. I cooked. I don't trust people as much anymore." That was said by Charlotte Parks. She was interviewed in April 27, 1981 by The Advocate.
Oh, look at her. She's
Must have been the one he was staying with in Baton Rouge.
Right. His claim that he passed the Louisiana bar exam.
Why would he claim these things when they're easily
debunked.
looked up?
Wow. Worked for Attorney General Jack P.F. Gremlin.
I think Jack P.F. Gremillion would fucking know about that.
Right. And he closed 33 cases. Well, this was debunked by several journalists in 1978. There's no record of him ever being a member of the Louisiana bar.
No shit.
No evidence he has ever worked as an assistant attorney general in Louisiana's attorney general's office.
No shit.
Also in 1978, the Louisiana State Bar Association reconciled all those who took the bar exam and concluded that, guess what, old Frankie boy never took the exam using his own name or an alias. The state attorney general's office examined payments to all employees during the time that Abagnale claimed he worked there and concluded that, guess what? Nothing. Not here.
Not here, buddy. That's what he says.
No paper trail for that guy.
Well, he's an idiot because he goes on a nationally televised Tonight Show. After that, then First Assistant Attorney General Ken Dijon. Do you have any Grey Poupon? Dijon mustard. He gave a reporter a series of questions to ask Abagnale about the description of then Attorney General Jack P.F. Gremillion. He failed to answer the questions correctly. This man is not an imposter. He's a liar.
Right, he's just a liar.
Said Kenneth C. DeJean, the first assistant attorney general.
If you're going to be an imposter, you're at least going to be the
At
part.
least have your homework done, right?
Wow.
Abagnale claimed when he was 18 years old that he worked for 1 year as a supervising pediatrician at the Cobb General Hospital in Marietta, Georgia. He claimed he worked the midnight to 8 shift, supervising 7 residences and residents and 42 nurses. That's a lie because there's no 8-hour shifts in hospitals. They're usually all 12 hours.
10, 12, 14. Jeez. He also claimed that he would visit the university library to memorize medical journals and textbooks. He says, with my photographic memory.
Photographic memory, but couldn't look at a picture of Vermilion or whatever the hell his name was.
Jeez. He said, I could easily memorize anything. That did not mean that I could comprehend it, but I could rattle it off nonetheless. He said he told his audience that over the course of his 1 year at Cobb General, no one doubted his position as a physician.
Yo, no one doubted my position as a physician.
He said, so I made the rounds, picked up the clipboard, scribbled a few lines, initialed them. And everyone thought I was doing a fine job. However, hospital administrators informed journalist Ira Perry that there was no midnight to 8 shift.
Exactly.
Or a steady position for an overnight pediatrician, right, at that time. Using records from New York State archives. Arthur Allen C. Logan demonstrated that Abagnale was in the Great Meadow Prison in Comstock when he was 18. So
we've already established that anyway.
Right.
Abagnale's claim that he impersonated a doctor is not entirely without merit.
Uh-oh.
On the University of Arizona campus in 1970, he stated that he was a pilot and a doctor.
Oh, okay.
According to Paul Holson, who was a mature student and licensed commercial pilot at the time, he informed him that he was there on behalf of Pan Am to recruit and conduct physical examinations on candidates.
All right.
In his autobiography, Holson claimed that after Abagnale's ruse was discovered, authorities informed him that Abagnale had indeed conducted physical exams on students. Jeez. University of Arizona officials acknowledged that he had interacted with at least 12 female students.
Oh, that's like a major crime.
Yeah, man. How the hell is he not going to jail for sexual assault?
All right, and that's malpractice. Not even malpractice.
That's person, you can't do that.
Oh, that's some good stuff there.
Touching their vajays and their tits and shit.
Right. He has openly acknowledged that he performed examinations on young women while impersonating a doctor. He said when the girls came by, always gave them a thorough examination and sent them on their way. Said I was young, but not stupid.
No, you're fucking stupid.
You are stupid.
Holy shit, what does a thorough examination entail?
All right. 2021, Louisiana State University Manship Chair in Journalism, Robert Mann, expressed his regret in not confronting Abagnale's claim of conducting physical examinations as a doctor. Said, looking back on my story about the event, which is Abagnale's lecture, he said, I am embarrassed by what I wrote about his time posing as a pediatrician.
Well, you should be.
Right. Reading those words now in which Abagnale bragged about sexual abuse makes me sick.
As it should.
Right.
Well, Abagnale has publicly claimed an intelligent quotient or an IQ of 140. He says, I have an IQ of 140 and retain 90% of what I read. So by studying and memorizing the bar exam, I was able to get the needed score. But was already established, you never even took it. 2021, he gave the keynote at American Mensa conference in Houston, Texas. The organizers claimed he was the subject of a FBI manhunt and cashed millions of dollars worth of checks while impersonating a pilot and a doctor. So even the organizers don't even do their research. They're like, this dude's telling the truth. Well, this guy, he's going to tell you all these things not to do.
Jeez.
People are so dumb, dude.
Right. Despite claims of having a photographic memory. When queried by the USA Today journalist Andy Sealer regarding details of imposter roles and movements in the 1960s, he responded by saying, you get to a point in your life where you go, I don't remember what I did.
I'm old now.
Right. One of his most notable claims was an alleged escape from the United States Penitentiary in Atlanta, 1971. He says, I was in one of the largest maximum security federal prisons for 2 weeks when I impersonated a prison inspector and walked out right past the machine guns and the guards. Wow. And
wait.
That was in the El Paso Herald Post, February 22nd.
Didn't he just say that didn't we establish, though, he said he's only been arrested once in his life?
All right.
That was in France.
Right.
And now he's just contradicted his thing, saying he escaped from a maximum security prison.
Right.
Oh, come on now, guy. 1982, he told the press, I was and still am the the only and youngest man to escape from that prison, so he's doubling down on that. However, the FBI confirmed that Abagnale was never housed in the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. And they would know because it's a federal.
Right.
They say he was never admitted, so I don't really see how he could have escaped, said acting warden Dwight Amstutz. 1978, after Abagnale had been a featured speaker at an anti-crime seminar, a San Francisco Chronicle reporter looked into his assertions. The telephone calls to banks, schools, hospitals, and other institutions Abagnale mentioned turned up no evidence of his cons and of the aliases he used. His response was, "Due to the embarrassment involved, I doubt if anyone would confirm the information." He later said he changed the names. Oh, he changed the names of the people that he said he worked for and conned on. Oh, come on, dude. This guy, I mean, come on. Who's hiring this guy now?
And why does he continue to still
lie?
Man, this guy. Wow. Well, further doubts were raised about his story after an October 1978 appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Why does he go to The Tonight Show?
Right, and the lying. And why ain't Johnny Carson be like, dude, you're a liar?
Right.
Okay, and the news article said, Abagnale is indeed a convicted con artist, but he is finding willing believers as he promotes and invents a more varied criminal past.
Right. So he's boasted himself up to be more of a criminal than what he said, so these companies will hire him and be like, oh, wow, this guy's a success story. He got out of this. He did all this.
Right. That was Stephen Hall said that from the San Francisco Chronicle. His article was called Johnny is Conned.
Yeah, why didn't Johnny do anything and push back on him?
That happened October 6, 1978. In December of 1978, his claims were again investigated after he visited Oklahoma City for a talk. As part of his investigation into the story, Perry spoke with Pan Am spokesman Bruce Hoxton, who responded to the journalist's inquiring, and he is saying this. He said, "This is the first we've heard of this, and we would have heard of at least remembered if it had happened, right? It would be, somebody would have.
We would know.
Right. You don't forget $2.5 million in bad checks. I'd say this guy is a phony as a $3 bill.
2002, Abagnale addressed the issue of his story's lack of truthfulness and with a statement posted on his company's website, which said, in part, "I was interviewed by the co-writer only about 4 times. I believe he did a great job of telling the story, but he also over-dramatized and exaggerated some of the story." Well, obviously,
right.
If it's a book,
right.
That was his style and what the editor wanted. He always reminded me that it was just telling a story and not writing my biography. However, Abagnale made the primary claims of working as a doctor for a year, an attorney for a year, a PhD professor, and his several escapes on national television in '77 on the show To Tell the Truth. So this guy can't keep track of his own lies.
Right, this is ridiculous. First he was only
these
arrested.
are televised.
Right, first he was only arrested once in France, and now he's escaping federal prisons in the United States.
And the only and youngest guy to do so.
Jeez, OP.
Idiot.
He also made these claims in print media, namely the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, 3 years before the publication of his co-written autobiography, effectively nullifying the claim his aforementioned co-author, Stan Redding, exaggerated the story.
Right, you exaggerated
the
story.
All know it was him. 2006, KSL journalist Scott Hawes challenged Abagnale with his claim that he worked as a PhD holding sociology professor at the Brigham Young University. Oh, no, now he's at BYU. Jeez, for 2 semesters? Wow. Abagnale claimed he could not recall the details and that his co-author Redding had exaggerated some things. Hawes refreshed Frank's memory and showed him his own words, including the Catch Me If You Can movie book and the credits that wrote at the end of the film Catch Me If You Can, where Abagnale, not Redding, made the BYU professor claim.
Oh, so I've never seen the movie, but I'm assuming at the movie, at the end, they show clips of him or something,
Yeah,
I would assume.
Yeah, it's a decent movie. It's not a bad movie. He conceded to Hawes that he might have been a guest lecturer.
Maybe I was. No, you weren't. So despite claiming to be a sociology professor in at least 3 books, 2 solely written by him, and an on-camera claim following the movie, it appears Abagnale as a BYU professor is most or entirely just another real fake. That was written by Scott Hawes. And did Frank Abagnale really teach at BYU, which was a KSL TV spot, apparently?
Big fat no.
Leading up to 2020, journalist Alan C. Logan conducted an in-depth investigation as part of publishing a book on his Abagnale's life story. Logan's exhaustive search of earlier newspaper articles and other public records cast reasonable doubt on Abagnale's story, obviously.
All right.
Logan also discovered numerous administrative documents that contradicted many of his claims. Yeah, well, you've heard them all laid out here for you today, so I'm sure what we've just told you he found, he's probably the one that provided all this information.
Right. Logan's investigation found that Abagnale's claims were, for the most part, fabrication. Documents show that he was in Great Meadow Prison in Comstock between the ages of 17 and 20.
Yep.
That was July 26, 1965 through December 24th, 1968.
Right.
As inmate number 25367.
You got a number, pal. That number ain't never going away.
Right. The time frame during which he claims to have committed his most significant scams. So that's where
Why would he do that when he knows he was in prison?
Right.
I don't understand this guy.
Wow. Logan's investigation uncovered numerous petty crimes that Abagnale has never acknowledged, and with Logan given evidence to argue that many of Abagnale's most famous scams and never ever incurred.
Or occurred. But,
Right.
yeah, this guy.
Incurred.
Abagnale told the press, he said, I was convicted on $2.5 million worth of bad checks. And that he later hired a law firm to get all the money back to hotels and other companies. However, federal court records show that Abagnale was convicted of forging 10 Pan American airline checks in 5 states, Texas, Arizona, Utah, California, and North Carolina, totaling less than $1,500.
That's a little. It's kitty stuff. For
So
the
he
FBI.
took $1,500 and put it to $2.5 million.
Right.
Come on.
Wow.
Following his parole on February 8, 1974, he claimed he went to work for the FBI. However, once again, after this date, Abagnale was arrested for the theft at a kids camp that we talked about in Texas. So, but he did only serve 2 years of that 12-year sentence, so it could be possible he was working with the FBI.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rule that out.
Right. In many interviews and speeches, he has claimed that he has earned millions of dollars from his patents. However, the United States Patent and Trademark Office website shows that, guess what?
the lie detector test determined, where's Maury when you need them?
Yeah, right. He said that either Abagnale as a person or Abagnale and Associates as a business hold no patents.
Oh, no.
And they're not listed as an inventor on any patent. Jeez. Right. In his check design patents, Canadian inventor Colin A. Sondrew, that's why, merely mentions in the background section of the invention that KPMG and Abagnale and Associates are groups that affirm that check fraud is a significant problem. Okay. Logan, girded with the public records, shared his findings in a detail on the NPR program Watching America. People watch NPR?
Yeah, dude. They're like one of the most listened to podcasts. I know that.
Wow. That was on August 13, 2021.
One of Abagnale's most controversial claims is his relationship with the FBI. In 1977, when he began claiming a 5-year uninterrupted life on the run involving multiple professional imposter scams, he did not claim to work for the FBI. He did, however, leverage the names of FBI personnel to bolster his new biographical claims. 1978, journalist Ira Perry determined that Abagnale and his publicists were giving out the names of FBI agents to any party that asked for references or verification of his claimed biography. In particular, they gave out the name of Robert Russ Frank, who they claimed was the former Atlanta agent, quote unquote, who knew all about Abagnale and his dealings with the FBI.
Trust me, he knows all about him.
It's not like you can just contact this guy, right? Oh, wait, you can?
Wait a minute. Well, Perry contacted Frank, who had just retired as head of the FBI's Houston division and had never worked in Atlanta. Frank told him...
He did. Frank was in, or,
All right.
yeah, Abagnale was in Houston. Why wouldn't he just say he was in Houston?
Well, retired Frank told him, that damn Abagnale uses my name all over the place, but I've never met the guy.
Jeez.
No. This is from Robert Russ Frank. He said this to the Daily Oklahoman. That was December 14, 1978. Frank informed Perry that he had only heard about Abagnale's through the people attempting to verify his biographical claims and was unable to confirm whether the claims were true or not. Perry also interviewed Eugene Stewart, a retired FBI agent who was in charge of the Atlanta division when he claimed that he was a pediatrician in suburban Atlanta.
So this guy would know.
Right.
So Stewart, who at that point was Delta Airlines chief of security, informed Perry that Abagnale was a low-level criminal. He said it's more of a harassment than anything else. In addition, Stewart noted that Abagnale had been using a Delta Airlines uniform to cash bad personal checks in Texas after his 1974 parole. And after that parole, he was arrested for theft from a children's camp. We know that. Public records show that almost 2 years after his parole in October of 1975, Abagnale was hired by Aetna Insurance, but was abruptly fired and sued by the company after he allegedly cashed bad personal checks. We know that. They eventually filed suit against Abagnale after his appearance on To Tell the Truth was broadcast in 1977.
This guy is
so
a
he
freaking
admitted to it on
moron.
To Tell the Truth, and now they're like, yeah, gotcha now, you moron.
To tell the truth in quotations.
Yeah.
After the publication of the 1980 autobiography, he began to inform his audience that he was on the FBI 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. He carried this claim into the 90s.
Into the 90s when the internet finally came around and you could look that shit up.
Right. He said, I was the only teenager in history of the FBI to put on their 10 Most Wanted list. He told his audiences in 1994, that's what he said. And in the lead up to the release of the film Catch Me If You Can, this 10 Most Wanted Fugitives claim was used in marketing of the film.
Yeah.
Obviously. Pressed on this claim when the film was released, and with the evidence clearly showing the absence of Abagnale on the any Most Wanted list, he conceded on his website that he was never on the FBI. It's like, no, about that Most Wanted list.
I never was on that.
Sorry.
That's the only thing I've lied about, I swear.
Right.
2002, Los Angeles Times journalist Bob Baker reported that there was no FBI task force set up to capture Abagnale. Why would there be? In the years following the release of Catch Me If You Can, Abagnale began claiming that he was granted a unique parole from the federal prison in Petersburg, Virginia, so that he could work for the Bureau. So he just admitted this is the third prison he's been in, but he's only been arrested once. When the FBI took me out of prison, he says, it was to do undercover work. Abagnale has claimed that the clandestine work was given to him directly by Clarence M. Kelly, who directed the FBI from 73 to 78.
Did he, though?
Is this Kelly guy still alive?
In his Talks at Google lecture, he claimed that because of his photographic memory, Kelly asked him to memorize the components of military hardware and infiltrate bases as a lieutenant.
Oh, come on, dude.
Abagnale describes Kelly's instructions this way. Okay, you are a lieutenant in the Army. You have been in the Army for many years. Your expertise is this missile. I need you to learn all of this in 2 weeks. And I'm sending you to this base. And I want you to find out what's going on in this particular area. Quote, unquote. In the lecture, he also claims Kelly sent him on similar missions as a scientist at a lab in New Mexico. This guy's been all over the frickin' place. Look at him, man. What a life.
I know, what a freaking life, dude.
You ain't kidding.
After the film was released, Abagnale began to use the first person plural pronoun we to refer to the FBI. So anytime the FBI, when we did this.
Oh, when we did that.
He also began to inform audiences that he was directly working for the FBI and celebrated each anniversary of his unique parole and the opportunity to go work at the FBI.
Why didn't they just murder him?
Just take him out, dude. Just take him out.
Why is he not napped yet?
For example, in 2006, he informed his audiences that this year I am celebrating 31 years with the FBI. So he's claiming he's still working for the FBI in 2006. 2014, he told his audiences that this year I'm celebrating 38 years at the FBI where I work today. However, the dates of this anniversary celebration point to 1976 and do not line up with Abagnale's claim of a parole release deal. Abagnale was, according to United States Board of Parole and Federal Bureau of Prisons, which was standard practice at the time, he was sent to a pre-release center in Houston in 1973, which we know, within the 120 days prior to his actual federal parole date of February 8, 1974.
Okay.
So he was paroled 2 years before he's claiming to be paroled.
Right.
What in the hell is this guy?
And he still continues
And he
on.
still continues.
2018 interview broadcast on PBS. He publicly criticized former FBI Director James Comey, who hasn't, for his unprofessionalism during the 2016 United States presidential election. In the very same interview, he claims that the FBI is concerned that he is of retirement age. He said, the FBI always asks me when I am going to retire because they don't want me to.
Oh, shut up. What are you doing for them?
In interviews, he has claimed that he has worked with the FBI is pro bono. He's not, I don't get paid.
I'm not going to pay for this
It's
shit.
just for free. But he has also claimed publicly that his company has made millions of dollars from contracts with the United States government. He said today, Frank Abagnale and Associates does $10.5 million of business every year. 90% of it is federal government. 1988, he told that to his audience.
Maybe he's got some government work. 'Cause
Maybe
he
he
does.
is.
He does legit nowadays do speeches and like anti-scamming shit for people.
I
So
mean,
maybe he's doing it for some
Maybe
government
he did,
stuff.
and the government couldn't do anything about it because they still needed him, and they're like, "Shut the freak up! Quit saying that."
I doubt it.
It's like,
Maybe
nah,
I don't know. I don't put
Nah,
any,
man, I'm gonna keep on saying it.
I don't put anything past the FBI at all.
Right.
We've already known not to
Right.
do that on this show, but I don't know. This guy's just lied about everything else. Who the hell? Journalist Ira Perry was unable to find any evidence that Abagnale worked with the FBI. I don't think there would be evidence. According to one retired FBI special agent in charge, Abagnale was caught trying to pass personal checks in 1978, several years after he claimed that he began working with the FBI. So maybe he's like, I'm working with the FBI, bitches. I do whatever I want.
Right, I can do these.
Dated back to the 80s, Abagnale claimed that Joseph Shea, who was an FBI agent, had pursued him for 5 years between 1965 and 70. He claimed that Shea befriended and supervised him during his parole. However, when Catch Me If You Can was released in the theaters, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that Abagnale and Shea only reunited in the late 80s, almost 20 years after Shea arrested him. Another lie. Abagnale spotted Shea at an anti-crime seminar in Kansas City and sought out Shea to shake his hand.
Look at that. Other than occasional guest lectures at the FBI Academy, author Ellen C. Logan found no evidence to support his claims, including an assertion that he was included in a coffee table book celebrating the 100th anniversary of the FBI.
Well, yeah, that would be evidence. But why is this guy doing FBI guest lectures at the FBI Academy?
Right.
If he's been running around for years claiming he's been working with the FBI, no FBI guy has come out and said it.
Right.
That he wasn't.
Right.
But he's doing guest lectures at the FBI Academy.
And he's in a coffee table book
Well,
celebrating the 100th.
Alan C. Logan couldn't find evidence of him being in the coffee table book.
He
That's what
wasn't
he
in
said.
it? Oh.
No.
When the film was released, an FBI spokesperson acknowledged that Abagnale had given lectures at the Academy from time to time. Oh, here we go.
See?
I mean, from time to time.
Maybe once in a while.
But denied that he had given them commendations by the agency as promoted in film markening.
See now, who the hell?
Okay.
See, you got two
Liars.
two known liars coming together right here. I'm not going to believe the FBI, and I'm certainly not believing Abagnale.
No. And maybe Abagnale's telling all the truth, and the FBI is making all these companies that he said he worked for not give up information. Baton Rouge or
Maybe.
right.
I don't know. 2020, Abagnale was confronted by one of his victims in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Uh-oh. When asked why he talks about being an attorney general and passing the bar exams and yet failing to acknowledge his arrest and conviction in Baton Rouge, Abagnale said, "That's because I work for the FBI." Abagnale claimed to the Star Tribune that he is an ethics instructor at the FBI Academy located in Quantico, Virginia. He said, "I teach ethics at the FBI Academy," which is ironic. But years ago, someone at the Bureau said, "Who better than you to do this?" I try to teach young agents the importance of doing the right thing, even though I have not done the right thing ever.
Wow. Well, today,
Jeez.
to this very day, the majority of Frank's income is derived from consulting with major corporate clients such as LexisNexis, Intuit, and Experian, and his public speaking engagements. He has conducted over 3,000 seminars on identity theft, cybercrime, and fraud worldwide. He works as an advisor to a number of print and technology companies around the world. He spent 20 years as an advisor to the Standard Register Company, creating security features for negotiable instruments, card titles, etc. He spent 10 years as an advisor to the 41st Perimeter, which developed fraud detection technology, now used in 80 countries around the world, and recently purchased by Experian.
He's also an advisor to TruSona in developing the world's first and only insured authentication platform, eliminated the use of passwords.
Really?
He is a member of the board of editors for Bank Fraud and IT Security, as well as the Financial Fraud Law Report. He is a member of the advisory board of the LexisNexis Fraud Defense Network, as well as an advisory board member of the University of New Haven Masters in Investigation Program. Okay, don't know what any of those are. Abagnale lives on Daniel Island near Charleston, South Carolina, with his wife, Kelly. They have 3 sons, Scott, Chris, and Sean. And he cites meeting his wife as the motivation for changing his life. He told author Paul Stenning that he met her while working undercover for the FBI when she was a cashier at a grocery store.
Yeah, even his marriage story is a lie.
Stems from working with the FBI.
She's like, no, you remember we met at McDonald's.
Oh, jeez.
You were
dude.
posing as a cashier at McDonald's.
Oh, man. For some reason, you had a pilot's uniform on, though. Oh,
shit.
dude, this guy. Holy shit. I need to watch the movie now.
Oh, it's a decent movie, actually.
Oh, man.
Came out like
2002?
2002, yeah. Decent movie.
I need to watch the damn movie now.
It's like probably 2.5 hours long.
Well, I just rewatched Wolf of Wall Street, and that's like 3.5 hours long, so.
That's a damn good movie, though.
Damn good movie.
You need to watch Devil's Advocate, or whatever it's called.
Devil's Advocate with
Pacino.
Pacino, right.
Yes, great movie.
Yeah. Wow, this guy. I was
the same thing as Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, you're thinking of Wall Street.
No, that's
with
Charlie
Michael
Sheen.
Douglas
And Charlie Sheen.
Right.
No, I'm not thinking of that. Like in Devil's Advocate. It's basically the same thing.
I thought the Devil's Advocate was legitimately involved the devil.
Yeah, it was basically the same thing, man. He went on, became a rich guy in an office, and Pacino's character was the devil, right?
Right, pretty sure.
Right.
Same
thing.
Man. Yeah. This whole, I don't think we've ever done an episode where.
This is the most stupidest.
I don't think I've ever done an episode where I was just like flabbergasted at everything that was just happening
if it's
in
true,
here.
and the government's only claiming that he forwards $1,500 in checks, how did this become such a freaking story? The $2.5 million, escaping federal prison.
Because he did it himself. Self-promotion.
I guess.
Out there making up claims. All these companies are hiring him.
The government's right behind him as he's screaming through the streets. He's like, no, it was only $1,500, and he only talks to us sometimes.
Yeah, we had a tale of two liars, Abagnale and
Right.
the FBI. Who do we know to believe?
I think they
don't know.
both lied so much, and they seen each other as great working partners.
Right, they were like, how about we just lie on each other
We
now?
just lie together. Don't worry, no one will ever know you worked for us.
Except for the thousands of times you say it.
We'll just deny it.
I don't know. This dude's still out there to this day giving interviews and
Still claiming that he
claiming all this shit. So.
Still claiming that he worked for the FBI all these years.
Yes, sir. That's it for us in this episode.
Well,
This
FBI
actually, honestly, I was a
agent.
little sketchy coming into this one. I didn't think it was going to be all that interesting, but
I knew it was going to be decent because I remember the movie. And the movie was actually pretty good.
yeah, good
The
stuff.
movie was the fake part. They're going to have a lot of
obviously
the fake shit in it.
embellishment, but I
Right.
mean, cool, good stuff, good episode. Surprised by it. Yeah, next week, I don't know. We got coming up. I know the anniversary of not Ruby Ridge. Yeah, it is Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge siege is coming up in like early August or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We got that coming up. We got a few more things we need to get out of the way before we turn our focus solely to the mafia. So
Rushing on that shit.
we're not rushing on that shit. But we do got a few more things down the pipeline for that. We got we haven't even done Waco. We haven't even done the other siege with the guy that got
Oregon,
shot in his car.
right.
Yeah, we haven't. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be covered here.
The one in Indiana or Michigan a few years back. What was that one? Forget what it was. They made a movie about it.
I don't know. There's a lot of them. There's also another siege where a group of Indians took over some town in North Dakota or something like that. It was
Just
a
a couple
siege.
years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff before we get to the mafia, but we are gearing up towards that. Probably going to be starting towards the end of the year. I would say around November-ish, but somewhere around there. But in the meantime, like we said at the beginning of the episode, we got a brand new Discord. Whether you guys want to join that and talk about every new episode that's coming along, you guys disagree with something we said, we didn't say a name right, we didn't pronounce something right, you guys can go to the Discord and let us have it all in there. Or if you guys are sports fans, we got plenty of sports stuff. We got you can talk politics, music, history, movies, TV, and anything you want.
Maybe our first Mafia episode should be Paulie Walnuts.
But he's not real.
Yeah, he was
But he's not real.
He was actually an informer or something.
But he's not real.
is
Tony
real.
Sirico was a real. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Tony Sirico.
Yeah, but I don't think there's much there.
Probably not.
But either Discord. Not only can you, ideally, we want you guys there because obviously you guys are listening to this show. So we want you to have. We want to create a discussion around the shows and give us feedback, and we can have conversations about what you have a problem with and all that stuff.
Or
what
topics that you might think we missed.
Or topics that we didn't maybe include in the episode. Exactly. Right. But like I said, there's other stuff there for sports, politics, anything and everything that you want to, literally anything and everything that you want to discuss is over on our Discord. That link will be in the description. So either click it if it lets you or copy and paste into your browser and you can accept the invite and bada boom, bada bang. You're right there.
We never did the 8-man out.
We can, yeah.
We should have. That's Outlaw, basically. They're criminals.
It was with the mob, though.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So I guess we'll be doing that with the Mafia, won't we?
No, that was in 1919, though. Or 1912 or some shit.
Yeah, early Mafia.
What was it?
1919.
Yeah, 1919.
Black Sox. Other than that, yeah, another show that we do, Battles of the American Civil War. We're on mid-March right about now, 1862. And in the last 5 months or so, the Confederates have won exactly one battle.
The South is getting their asses whipped right now.
But the North ain't doing too shabby themselves.
Right.
Let's just say that.
Right. For a country like the South, I mean, they got pretty decently organized in the few months that they had to become a country. But they just don't have nothing.
Well, if you think about it, they seceded, and a month later we were at war.
Right.
So.
And all the steel and all that's made up north.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, they really can't make shit. They rely on their eastern shore cities like in Virginia and South Carolina and stuff. The big cities on the river or on the ocean right there. But other than that, what you got? Hopefully, whole Texas.
Texas hasn't even come into play in the Civil War right now.
Right. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Past west of the Mississippi.
The only thing that has is New Mexico.
And that's just been some skirmishes.
Yeah, that was their last battle that they just won, which is going to be released coming up this Friday. If you guys are listening, no, it had already been released last Friday. By the time you guys hear this, and with that being said, check out Battles of the American Civil War over there. Make sure you click the link in our description of this episode to join that Discord. Have fun. That's on Discord, so make sure look at the link in the description, and we'll be back next week for honestly don't really know yet.